Hey guys, welcome to ASP.NET MVC 5 tutorials. This is part 4. I'm Ripan Datta. Today I am gonna discuss about data annotations. So, first of all, I want to say about something data annotations. Data annotations is a library in .NET framework. It resides in assembly, which is system.componentModel.data annotations. The purpose of data annotations is to custom domain entity class with attributes. Therefore, data annotations contains validation attributes to enforce validations rules. What is the advantage? The advantage of using the data annotation validators is that they enable you to perform validation simply by adding one or more attributes, such as required or string length attribute. So, what are the validator attributes? Data type, display name, display format, required, regular expression, range, string length, and so on. For example, this is key attribute. In this case, this is primary key. This is required attribute, string length attribute. That means this field is required, and string length, that means the maximum length of the first name should be 25. Now let's get started with Visual Studio. So first take a project, go to the web, ASP.NET web application. Let's give the application name data annotations. Okay, select, by default it is selected MVC. Okay, Visual Studio is creating the project. Alright, so first of all I want to create my model. Let's say this is employee model, and we have some property. Let's say this is ID, and let's say another property, string. Let's say employee name. In this case I am using only name, or you can take first name, last name, middle name, whatever you want. Then let's say another property, string property, address, then another property, decimal, which is salary, and finally I want to add ups, yep, email. Alright, but this is our key field, so we need to add our data annotations. You can see system dot component model dot, or you can click over here, or you can just add using system dot component model dot data annotations. This is the namespace for data annotations. So this is our simple model. Now I want to add another controller for this model. Let's say employee controller add. Alright, so we need to create a context. So let's take a folder, context. In the context, you can take a class, let's say employee context, and this is inherited from db context, which is entity class. So system.data.entity. Now you have to add db set with employee with getter and setter method. So you need to add the namespace for model. Alright, so first we need to add the context. Let's say this is db, so I need to add the namespace dim context. Yep, context data annotation is a project dot context. Alright, so in the index view we need to send employee to list. Alright, so what else we need to do is we have to go to the web config. Then you can see there's a data connection string data source. In my case, my SQL Server database is under Ripon. Then I need to add, set, let's say this is Acer 2014 database, and we have to change this name with context name. So our context name is employee context, so this is the employee context. Alright, now we just need to run the project. Click run. Yep. Actually we don't have the index, so first we need to create our index. So right click in the index, action, add view, template should be list, then model class employee, data context employee context, add. Now after creating the view, yes, you can see this is our index view. Now we need to add the create view and other views. Now we can refresh the database and we can see this is our database. You can see employee table with these columns. Okay, so now let's create the create view. So go to the create, add view, template should be create employee, then employee context. Alright, now we can run the project again. So first I want to go to the employee index. Okay, create new, then I have to put the value. Let's say Will Smith, address 1000 North 4th Street. Let's say salary 1000, 100K, and mail.com. Create. Now you can see this is already done, but there is no validation. That means if I press create, salary field is required because this is not null in the database. So it is required only, but there is no more any validation. Let's say email. You can put any email. Let's say nothing. So what we need to do is we need to put some validation. So let's go to the model, employee model. First I want to put validation for name. So name display name. Display name should be employee name. So in this case we need to add another namespace which is component model. That means now you can see here is only name. So instead of name we want to get employee name. So run the project again, then you will see you can see employee name. So this is display name attribute. Then I want to add another attribute, let's say required. So if there is any error, then there should be a message. Let's say employee name is required. And even you can set string length. Let's say string length 35. That means maximum string length should not be more than 35. So run the project and let's see. Okay, so first of all, without name I want to create. You can see employee name is required because there is a required attribute. Employee name is required. Now let's see string length. Let's say there is a name which is already maximum length is 35. That's why there is an error message. So name should be less than 35. Yep, you can see. All right, that means this is our validation. Now I want to add minimum length. So if you want to add minimum length, you have to add minimum length over here equal, let's say 4. Run the project again. Alright, you can see employee name is required. Now let's see, there is a name, let's say A. Now you can see there is an error. The field employee name must be a string with a minimum length of 4. So B, C, D. Now this is, now your required or your validation is correct, then error is gone. So now let's um, put some attribute on address. Let's say this is required, and if there is any error, then there should be message employee address is required. Alright, even you can add string length at best 300 or whatever you want. Then I want to put some validation on salary. It is required. If there is any error, then error message equal salary is required. This is error message. Or you can set range. So that means range, here is the value. First value is minimum value, let's say 3000 to at best let's say 100k or 1000k. So in this case, if there is any error on that case, you can set error message. Error message you can put like that, salary must be between 3000 and like this. Alright, now I want to put some validation attribute on email. Let's say this is, first of all, this is required. Error message is please enter your email address. Second, we can set data type. That means this field is the email address field. Then we can even set display name. So display name is email address. That means instead of only email, now you will see email address. And what, let's say maximum length, we can set max length is 50, and we can add regular expression. So regular expression bracket, you have to add sign and double quotation, add to G 029 followed by dot underscore send plus minus right, then plus, then add again, add to G 029 dot dash, then slash dot A to G, but this must be 2 to 4 characters long at best. So if this is not correct, then you can set error message. Let's say please enter correct email address. Alright, display name, there should be bracket. Okay, now run the project again. Now create, you can see employee name is required, address is required, salary is required, please enter email address. Alright, let's say name is Ripon. Okay, address 1000 North, this is also valid. Let's say salary, but this is not valid because salary must be 3000 to 1000k. So let's say okay, this is a valid salary. And now let's say Ripon. Now you can see this is not valid because this is not validated by this regular expression. So what can we do? Let's say mail dot, we can set dot because we are allowed to use dot. Now you can see this is not also valid. Please enter a valid email address. So now let's say Gmail, which is not also valid, dot co, this is valid because we allowed 2 to 4 characters long after dot. So we can say, let's say this is my valid email address, so this is valid. Now you can create, there is no more any error. So basically data annotations in this case we are using for validate our fields. Now let's look at the source code in the HTML. Now you can see this text box data bell true, data bell length, this field, the field employee must be a string with a minimum length of 4 and maximum of 35. This is the maximum length 35, minimum length 4, and this field is required. So now we can see the other one. Let's say this email address. Now you can see, registration expression. You can see there is a pattern. So that means data annotation is converted into our HTML5 attributes. So we can check or we can set our validation easily using data annotations. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial so much, and it will be helpful if you follow the tutorial properly. And thank you very much for watching this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe this channel. If you have any comment or if you have any difficulty with this tutorial, you can simply put your comment in the comment box. I will try to reply you as soon as possible. And thank you. See you soon in the next tutorials. Till then, bye.